If your team got guaranteed money, tell them call me.
Whoop. Make me say, my. I done been around the world.
Yeah, I was made for this.
Player Performance with J.A. Cavalier.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Thursday. It is another week of college football. We're in week 12, and man, oh man, we only have a few weeks of the regular season to start, and now we're going to be talking a little bowl season. We're going to be talking a little playoffs. It's an electric time to be alive here. I am Gunz CFB, joined as always by my man, Coach Rick. What's going on, my friend?
It's great to be alive. Like you said, definitely great to be free to do what we do here. If we all forgot, it was Veterans Day on Tuesday. And as a special for y'all, actually what we're going to do is make you watch the whole damn thing. So Coach Rick trivia, I'm going to lay this out there, but you're going to have to wait till the end of the show to get the answer. So I came across this as I was reading something about Veterans Day, and this guy just stuck out, and I thought, God, there can only be one guy that ever did this. So the guy played college football. He was also a college football head coach. He was inducted into the College Football Hall of Fame. You can see him there. He was also a doctor, and I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe his brain is actually on display at Yale in the medical school. I think so. I was told that. He also won the Congressional Medal of Honor, the highest military award that you can win in the United States. He has a military base named after him. And a Navy ship was once named for him as well. And you're going to have to stick around to find out who it was. Great man. Also, almost was the president of the United States.
I mean, that is name another person that could even fit that. That is a one of one. Happy belated, we honor the troops. Happy belated Veterans Day to those who serve. We appreciate you. We thank you. And then we're going to thank you with some bangers here in college football. Going to break this down with the top 25. We got 4 plays in the top 25 this week. And, of course, we'll give you some of the outliers, 2 from me, 2 from Coach, as we always do. Let's get this show on the road. Let's start with the first pick here. Let's start with Notre Dame and Pitt. This should be an electric one in Acrisure Stadium in Pittsburgh, PA. This Notre Dame team is humming along. Coming off that big win versus Navy, absolutely stopping them 49-10. A little bit sluggish there in the first half, second half, not so much. And you have a Pitt team that's just been humming along themselves. Coming off the bye week, 5 straight wins, and an interesting press conference there with Pat Narduzzi there. Maybe he doesn't really think this game is that big of a deal because it isn't in conference. We'll see on Saturday. But I'll pass to you, Coach. What do you think of this game, Notre Dame versus
kind of my backyard. I grew up with Pitt football. I think there was a stretch where I went to every Pitt-Penn State game for about 10 years. But this one, you mentioned Narduzzi. He's probably throwing out some Jedi mind tricks type of thing, Notre Dame comes in hot, right? They lost the first 2 games of the season, ripped off 7 straight. The offense is outstanding. We've talked about them before. C.J. Carr, not a freshman anymore, right? The pass offense is outstanding, I think. And then, of course, Love and Price. We talked about. I think that was last week with Navy and how I played Jeremiah Love every week for an anytime touchdown until it didn't make sense. And last week it was like minus 1,000, which didn't make sense. I don't know if it's worth playing him again this week, but that's up to you to decide. The thing that I think coming into this game, a lot of people really just kind of don't know much about Pitt, but they're pretty damn good. They've actually won their last 5 straight, and that coincides with a QB change. So if you didn't know, Eli Holstein, he started the year as the QB. He got benched, and they brought in a kid named Mason Heinchel. He started the last 5 games. Pitt has won all 5. The kid's good at 64% completion, a little over 1,500 yards, 12 TDs, 5 picks. He's solid, and the offense is humming. It's the number 11 pass offense. If you didn't know Pitt, they throw the ball a ton. The offensive coordinator it's Kerwin Bell's kid, if anybody knows Kerwin Bell. But they hum. They're fast-paced, up-tempo, and they throw the ball. They score almost 40 points a game. So what I expect here is I expect Heinzel to do fairly well against Notre Dame. And if you don't remember, Notre Dame's actually given up quite a bit of passing yards to opposing teams. And some of those were early when they had some guys hurt, but still, 299 to BC, give up 342 to NC State. You know, my guy Ryan Brown had 281. The kid from Arkansas threw for over 400 yards. You know, whatever. But I think Pitt can move the ball. I think both teams are actually going to have success. And if you noticed, you know, I didn't know they didn't play last year, but I think it was 2 years ago they played, and the total was 45 or 45 and a half. The meeting before that, it was in the 40s too. Now you have a total, it's, you know, 55 to 55 and a half. I think that's just telling you there's going to be some points. So I'm not on a side here, but I'm going to lean towards the over.
Yeah, I'm kind of going in that direction here too, but I'm watching this line kind of jump all over the place, and it's kind of bouncing around from 10 and a half, then all of a sudden it's 11 and a half. Now it's getting up to 12 and a half, giving a lot of indicators that people are buying into this Notre Dame type of trouncing. Kind of probably some revisionist history when we look at some of these ranked versus ranked type of double-digit favorites going against each other, and you're seeing the double-digit favorite come out on top. But you can't deny that even from the Pitt side, that things are going well for them, and that has a lot to do with the QB change. They bench Eli Holstein, they put in Mason Heinzel, 5-0 straight up, 5-0 ATS in that run since they made the QB change. This Pitt team wants to pass the ball. They're 35th in pass play percentage. But you look at the Notre Dame defense; they have shown some vulnerabilities with the passing game. However, they've improved since they took the play calling away from Ash and they put it back on Freeman. You actually look at the games where since he took over the play calling, 298 yards of total offense to opponents, not 199 in passing, and they put more pressure on the quarterback. You see a lot more sacks coming off this team, and also the turnover ratio has changed dramatically as well. So maybe passing the ball with a young quarterback could be a detriment to this team. With this veteran Notre Dame defense, this Notre Dame team overall, they can beat you on the run. Coach mentioned Love and Price, but you don't sleep on this team that can pass the ball very well with CJ Carr back there. The receivers are getting better. He's not afraid to air it out. And really, I will say this: I was like, even though there are good numbers from the Pitt defense in the rush, they haven't seen an offensive line like this. They haven't seen two running backs to this caliber. They're seeing the best of the best going up here as far as a rush offense is concerned. And then you got to look at the strength of schedule when you look at these teams. So everybody goes look at the Pitt team. They're getting the wins. But you got to look at who they played. You look at the strength of schedule as of today. Notre Dame is 13th toughest schedule. You have Pitt that is ranked 71st. There's a big delta between those two teams when you look at those stats. And then both teams can put up points. However, it could be a little bit lopsided here because Pitt hasn't faced a defense like this Notre Dame has as of late. They've allowed 13 points or less in 5 out of the last 6 games. And that includes a pretty good offense. We're talking about Arkansas, Boise, NC State, USC, BC, probably the outlier there. Navy can put up points on you, but this Notre Dame defense steps up and makes the stops. The total results in Pittsburgh's games this season is 61 points per game. They are 5-0 to the over at home. So there could be points in this one, seeing this high total in the 50s, mid-50s for that matter. And, of course, Notre Dame on the road is 2-1 to the over, and this is the second highest road total for them all season long. But Pitt hasn't scored more than 14 points versus Notre Dame since 2015. So keep that in mind. So if you're going to need the points, I think it's going to be on the Notre Dame side. So really, if I'm going to be picking this game, I'm just going to pick the double-digit ranked team on the road, going against another ranked opponent. Give me them Notre Dame minus 11.5 because I think this might be hugging 14 before this game does kick off. And that is not a fan pick, by the way. This is just me reading the numbers. All right, let's go to the next play here. Oklahoma is going into Tuscaloosa to face the Alabama Crimson Tide at Bryant-Denny Stadium. 3:30 is the kick on Saturday. In Oklahoma, this should be the game of the week, really. Oklahoma 7-2 on the year, coming off a bye week. You have Bama coming off that win versus LSU at home. They're sitting comfortable at home. And you got the revenge angle there because Oklahoma did beat Alabama kind of badly in Norman last year, kind of kicking them out of the playoffs. So maybe there is some huge revenge here for the Alabama Crimson Tide. But I'll pass to you, Coach. What do you think of this game, Oklahoma versus Bama?
Yeah, definitely the game of the week here. Huge playoff implications. Oklahoma probably can't afford another loss. You mentioned the game last year. Alabama was a 14-point favorite heading into that one. But it's totally different. Like, this is a completely different Oklahoma football team. Last year, their offense just wasn't there. And you can say all you want about John Mateer, and he's hurt and he's banged up and he's not what he was the first couple weeks of the season. Whatever. They went to Tennessee and beat them. So for me, I know the line says, hey, I think we favor Bama here. They're at home. They've won at home. They've proven they can, play with anybody. They got 7 straight wins, 8 straight wins since the opening loss. The offense, Ty Simpson, probably, top 5 draft pick. But on the other end, you're going to have to go up against an Oklahoma defense that, we've said it before, probably one of the best in the country. So, for me, it goes like this. I think the game script has to be what it was last year for Oklahoma. That is a heavy dose of, I'm going to run the damn ball. Last year, remember, Oklahoma, the run offense wasn't that great, but they ran for 270 yards against an Alabama defense, which, Alabama historically has always been good. They're still jamming this year, giving up 17 points a game. I think they're top 15 in the country in scoring defense. So it won't be easy, but if Oklahoma can run the football, keep it away from Alabama's offense, they've got a shot because they can play defense. So I say all that to say that, I like the under. The game total right about the same as it was last year. And, last year, they only put up 27 points. So I would lean towards the under. I believe it's 46. You might see some 46 and a halves. Bama, last 7 times they played a top 25 scoring defense, the game's gone under. Last week's game, LSU, we talked about this is a pretty solid defense, right? The game ends up with 29 points. The unders cashed in 5 of their last 6 anyway, regardless of who they're playing. And in Oklahoma on the other end, under, like, that's what they do. They run the ball as best they can, and then they hold teams to 14 or less. And when you don't give up more than 2 touchdowns, you win a lot of games. So 8 out of the last 10 under for Oklahoma. This one for me, it's all day under 46.
Yeah, I think I'm going to be aligned with you on that one, and I'll give you a take on the side as well. Both teams are coming in there strong. This is, I'll say it again, this is a game of the week. And then, Bama is a pass-oriented offense. They're 26th in pass play percentage, 23rd in pass completion percentage. They're 12th in passing yards per game. But this Oklahoma team, they've been impressive all year. This Oklahoma defense, 264 yards given up to opponents, 82 rushing yards per game, 2.5 yards per carry, 182 passing yards per game, and then they get to the quarterback, 12.4% sack rate. That helps good passing defenses when you can get to the quarterback. Oklahoma defense has shown some weaknesses. I will say that on the other side. They gave up 315 yards of passing to Ole Miss, but Ole Miss runs that air raid anyways. 393 yards given up to Tennessee. These are 2 teams that want to pass the ball. Just give you a barometer there. So it could be a situation where Oklahoma does give up the passing yards. Last year, Oklahoma did beat them 24-3. It did go under. They were 14-point home dogs in that situation. Now they're single-digit dogs here, like +6 if I'm seeing on the board right now. It should go the other direction in a lot of cases. But could be because the value of Oklahoma is a little bit weighted higher this year than it was last year. Of course, Oklahoma had their struggles offensively, especially. But Bama is 5-0 straight up in ATS at home this season in Tuscaloosa. However, the total is the lowest total that Bama has seen all season. Oklahoma is an under team, 7-2 to the under this season. Only overs that hit were over 50, 52.5 and 55. Those are the only times they hit over, and I believe it hit over against Tennessee that I did have as a VIP play. But this is an underplay all day long, and I do lean towards the Oklahoma side just on the sheer fact that they were double-digit dogs last year. I don't care that they won in Norman. I think this game could be really, really close down to the wire, but I'll lean the +6. But but I like the under a little bit more at 46. That's the way I'd like to play that game. All right, let's go into a little LA action with Iowa going on the road in Los Angeles Memorial Coliseum in Los Angeles, California. 3:30 is going to be the kick on this one. And you have a USC that's just humming along after that loss versus Notre Dame. They're off back-to-back wins, but Iowa coming off a heart-wrencher at home in Connect, 18-16 loss to Oregon. Battle-tested. Now you got to go and hop on a plane, go fly to LA to go play this electric USC offense that is going to test them once again. But I'll pass to you, Coach. What do you think about this game, Iowa versus USC?
God. Well, I mean, we gave it to you last week, right?
We wrote the script.
We wrote the script. Like, hey, this game's going under. It's going to be a battle. I was going to cover, blah, blah, the whole deal, right? And they had a shot. I mean, they were ahead 15-7 going into the fourth quarter, but they couldn't hold on. Still, you look at Iowa, 6-3, all three losses by a combined 10 points. God. But they have not covered as a road dog, I believe, in 2 years. I think it was November of 23, the last time they covered on the road as an underdog. So, for me, that's why I'm kind of not on the side. I actually don't have an official pick in this game at all yet, and I might not get there. However, I do believe if you like USC here, I think you better jump quick because I've seen -6, I've seen 6.5. And I've seen 6.5 juiced, which this game's probably going to hit 7, I believe, and maybe even get over the touchdown. So, it's always tough for Big Ten teams to travel west. We've seen it before. We've talked about it a bunch of times. We've talked about it in the ACC. There's that thing. I don't know. Like I said, as a player, I don't think it bothered me, but as a coach, it's something that you have to consider. USC, like you said, has been on fire. I think USC's defense is actually better than I think a lot of people think. One of our kids plays, Des Stevens is the linebacker there. He's the second leading tackler on their team with 53. And I mentioned it, him and the guy he plays alongside, like they can run and make plays. And they only give up 21.8 points a game. So, it's not Oklahoma, right, where you're only giving up 2 TDs, but it's good enough to stay in games. And their offense is just so damn good. Maeva is just, the kid's electric. Again, he's going to be another high draft pick when he's eligible. But the Iowa defense, man, I mean, they just suck the life out of teams. And they've played some really good quarterbacks. The only 2 that really threw on Iowa was Mendoza from Indiana and our boy Kalik Mianis from Rutgers. Those are the only 2 guys that really had, over 200 plus passing yards against Iowa. So that's why I'm kind of torn between side, and as far as the total goes, again, I'm kind of stuck in the middle. It's at 49.5. So I'm not sure where I'm going to end up, but I do think if you like USC, you should jump in now and get to 6 or 6.5 while you can.
Yeah, this game is. I was a little perplexed by it because of just the like you just said. It's like every time the Big Ten goes, these East Coast or Midwest teams go over and they go to California, they go to Oregon, or they go to Washington. It's like they just can't get the body clock right, and you just watch these teams just kind of plummet. We saw it with Northwestern last week. I mean, they just kind of like had a decent first half, but then they kind of just fell to succumb to this USC team. And I have revisionist history here with Iowa. Every time Iowa has to play in California, and typically it's when they get to the Rose Bowl in most cases. Yeah. I watch these teams. I watch Iowa's teams as good as they were the entire season. I watch them get absolutely stomped by whoever they're playing in the Pac-12 because they're just not ready for those situations. I was looking for the total on that one because that would give me a little bit of an indicator of where there we go. So I'm seeing 49s and a half and 50s, right? That is more of a USC line to me. Those aren't totals that you normally see with Iowa games. It is a little bit low for a USC game, granted, I'll give you that, but it's kind of gearing towards that upper epsilon there where you're going to probably see USC score some points on here. And they've done that all season long. I mean, they're 49 points per game at home, plus 30-point differential, plus 62 net yard average at home. But keep in mind, here's the teams that they played. Missouri State, we know they are Conference USA. Georgia Southern, they're in the Gun Belt. You got Michigan State, and I think Michigan State's the only one that covered in the Coliseum. And then they played Michigan, absolutely stomped them, dominated Michigan. So that was a good win. And then Northwestern. So those are the teams that they played at home this season. For Iowa, this is their fourth road game of the year. They do have a plus 14-point differential, plus 11, and plus 3-point differential on the road this season. That was Iowa State, Rutgers, and Wisconsin. Not the greatest sample size there. What do we know about Iowa? They're a run team, right? 14th in rush play percentage. They're 56 in rushing yards per game. They're not going to kill you with the offense. They're going to kill you with the defense and suffocate you. But I've seen sample sizes where USC has struggled against the run. I've watched them give up 7 yards per carry to Notre Dame. I've watched them give 4.7 yards per game to Nebraska. I've seen them give up 5.2 yards per carry last week to Northwestern. You can run on this team if you're able to give the attempt. So that is a little bit of a scary thing. If USC can't stop the run, Iowa's going to keep this game close. And I don't really have to talk much. We talked in like exhaustion of how good the Iowa defense is. If you want to go see that, go check out the stats that we did last week. But their defense held Oregon to 18 points. That's something to write about, and 373 yards of total offense. But that was a connect. This is a different situation going outside the Coliseum. Iowa's also 5-1 ATS off a loss since last year. They're 2-0 ATS this year, so keep that in mind. I would love to see this thing kind of get over the 7 and maybe take a buy into Iowa there. I am leaning towards the USC side a little bit more just because of, like we said, every time it seems like a Big Ten school goes over to the West Coast to play the former Pac-12 teams, it all goes awry. And plus you have Iowa coming off that battle-tested, huge, exhausting game. You can kind of lose the same game twice in those situations. And I really think USC is probably the more rested and well-prepared for this game. So it's tough. I can't get to one side or the other on this one. So, real big pass for me. But it feels like it's a USC spot if I'm going with my gut. All right, let's go to the next game here. SEC action. This is another big game. These are playoff implication games in the SEC this week. Texas versus Georgia in Memorial Stadium, Athens, Georgia. It's a night game in Georgia, too. 7:30 is going to be the kick on this one. And yeah, there's some history between these two teams. Of course, Georgia beat them twice last year, neutral field, and I believe in Texas is where they played them last year. So I got some notes. I got some takes, but I'll pass it to you, Coach. What do you think of this game?
Yeah, this one's simple, really. Game script, I'll share that in a minute. But, you mentioned they played twice last year. Texas, 4-point home favorite. And Georgia come in and just friggin' beats the shit out of them, right? I think 30-15, I think, was the final. Then they meet again in the SEC title game. Essentially a home game for the Bulldogs just because it's at Mercedes-Benz and it's in Atlanta, which, isn't that far from Athens. And Texas, once again, favored to win the SEC championship game, and Georgia beats them. And isn't that the game where, Carson Beck didn't play or got hurt or whatever, right? So, 2 times the Longhorns are favored and they lose. And now it's a home game for Georgia now, and they're favored by 6. I think that tells you what you need to know. Here's the game script. Here's how it plays out. Georgia takes the ball and tries to jam it down Texas' face. And then on the other end, they are going to absolutely obliterate Texas's running game, which, isn't all that great. The offense is meh, right? But they're going to take away the run from Texas because they want to see if Arch Manning can beat him. And I know he can't. So they're going to get to a point where Texas is going to have to throw, which is going to allow Georgia to just line up and come after him and show him stuff that he hasn't seen yet. And I think Georgia wins big.
That's what I have. I'll even give you a total take on this one because I think if you're taking Georgia, I think you're taking a low one on this one. I mean, I mean, this is Kirby. We call this curb stomping. This is how what he does, and Texas is kind of like got into these situations, played a lot of close games, and kind of snuck out some victories. I mean, you got to mind you, Texas has won 4 straight, but they lost the yardage battle in 3 of those, beating Kentucky by 3. They beat Mississippi by 7. If you watch that game, it took to overtime, and they were down a bunch in the fourth quarter. And they only beat Vandy by 3. So they're sneaking away with these victories with what I consider remedial teams instead of when you're going against a Georgia team. I mean, this is a Georgia team, and Coach said it. This team wants to run the ball. I mean, that's kind of what their MO is. But the last 4 weeks, 65% pass completion rate, 248 yards passing yards per game. Gunner Stockton can throw it if he wants to. And I think if they control the tempo and they control whatever they want to do, or the running game just doesn't work because Texas has a pretty good rush defense. But Georgia will pass the ball. They'll do whatever you give them. But the defense is gonna be the difference in this game. But you said it last season, lost twice. They were a dog in both situations, but now you're seeing the line kind of flip the other situation. 5.5, 6 we're seeing on the boards right now, and that's a huge line swing from game A to game B. The totals in those games were 50.5 and 57.5. Now you're seeing the totals drop below 50. 3-0 to the under in the last 3 meetings when these teams do match up. So keep that in mind as well. The line's dropping for a reason. I'm seeing 48.5 on the board under. So I think if you're taking Georgia's going to control time of possession. They're going to keep Arch Manning and that offense off the field as much as possible and just absolutely drain that defense as much as possible. I think this is a Georgia spot all day long. Give me the dog hat right here. Let's go. Georgia, minus 5.5, and give me the under 48.5 back-to-back plays and alignment on the side. All right. We just broke down the top 25. You're welcome. While we're watching this video, you might as well like and subscribe to the J Cavalier channel if you haven't done so already. Hit the thumbs up. It looks like this. And the subscribe button up in the upper right-hand corner, you can click that as well. And hit the notification bell so you know when any time a video comes out. Listen, we do primetime lives on this show. We do Sunday live NFL stuff. We're going to be doing college basketball here soon. There's so much content on this channel, and don't miss out. Also, the NHL content, puck use out there. There's a lot of stuff that you guys can feast on. Go check it out on the J Cavalier channel and subscribe. And also, we have stuff going on. We'll talk about that at the end of the show. Let's get into some of the obscure plays on the board. We'll start with you, Coach. You like to talk about North Texas and UAB. This is
sure. Gotta love some AAC.
Denton, Texas. This ain't in Texas. This is in Birmingham, I believe. So,
yes, it is. Yeah.
I'll pass to you, Coach. What do you think of this game, North Texas versus UAB?
Yeah, it's the first thing that jumps out, of course, is the total, right? North Texas, number 1 or 2 in the nation in scoring, 44 and a half a game. And then, of course, UAB on the other end, we all know Trent Dilfer got fired and, they got an interim coach and they're kind of in between and hanging around. I've actually played a little bit better recently. And that kind of happens. Sometimes they rally around the interim coach. And UAB actually, it's hard to believe they're actually 3-1 at home this year. They lost to Rice last week, which, I'm a Rice fan. I like Scott Abel, but Rice isn't very good. UAB then somehow also pulled off that huge upset of Memphis at home. So, you might think, well, Coach Rick's probably going to be all over North Texas and, team or over team total, all that stuff, right? But I actually, if I'm going to play the team total, I'm going to play the under. Right now, the team total is I think you can get 44.5 at about minus 120. But I think that number is going to move downward because I think what's going to happen here, I think the game script is you're going to see North Texas actually run the football quite a bit because UAB's run defense is awful. They're decent against the pass. And again, North Texas will still throw the ball, right? And Mestemaker will have, he's going to throw for 250 probably at least. They have the number 6 pass offense in the country. It's not like they're not going to throw the ball. I just think they're going to have a lot of success running it against a really bad UAB run defense. Caleb Hawkins is the running back. The other kid is banged up. I don't know if he's going to play. So Hawkins probably gets a few more carries than normal. So what I'm looking at right now, the markets weren't open when I checked earlier today. So I'm leaning on North Texas team total under. Like I said, about 44.5. And I am going to look for Caleb Hawkins props, probably his over in rushing yards and also an anytime touchdown. He's only scored in 4 games, but he has 11 touchdowns. He scored 4 last week, so I'll probably play him for an anytime touchdown, take his over on the rushing yards whenever the market opens.
All right. There's a play for you right there. Hitting a little bit of the prop market there.
Yes, sir.
Rick. Let's talk about a play that I like here. Let's go into the gun belt. We got Marshall versus Georgia State. Yes, this game is a little bit ugly there. Of course, Georgia State is 1-8 straight up on the year. 6 straight losses for that team. What you need to know is you got 2 terrible defenses go against one another here. You have Georgia State that is ranked giving up 43.1 points per game, which is 136 in the country. They gave up 474 yards per game. That's ranked 133rd in the country. And you have a 89% opposing red zone scoring, and that's just TDs, folks. That's ranked 113th in the country. If you get it in the red zone, chances are that is an easy 7 when you're playing Georgia State. Now, with the Marshall defense, they're not very good either. They give up 36 points per game. That's 123rd in the country, 451 yards per game of total offense, 126 in the country. And when you get in the red zone against Marshall's defense, you're scoring at 85% of the time. Tutty. They also give up 43 points per game on the road. They're playing on the road here. And on the offense for Marshall, not too bad. They put up 32.3 points per game. That is 25th in the country in offensive scoring. And Georgia State's given up a lot on the defensive side, but they put up points lately. You look at their numbers, they put up 26 points per game in their last 4 games. So, and that's because they had to play catch up, a lot of garbage time in there. And then you got to look at the trends on this one. Marshall is 4-0 to the over on the road this year. This is the highest total that they've seen all season long. Makes sense. You're playing Georgia State. And then Georgia State is 4-0 to the over last 4 games, and the total is the highest of the year for Georgia State. When the totals are high and they keep getting higher, I will keep buying. And here's another one for you. Give me over the total here. Marshall versus Georgia State, 63.5. And by the way, get it now. That thing will climb. I guarantee it.
Yes.
All right, let's go to Coach's next play. And he's playing in the mud. What is this? A non-conference. No, I'm just kidding about this one. This is Big 12 action. This is TCU versus BYU. BYU. Coming off that loss that we projected, at least I projected in my VIPs with Texas Tech. Now they're coming back home where they're most comfortable playing a decent, kind of red hot there TCU team. But I'll pass it to you, Coach. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, I was just thinking, Veterans Day Tuesday, and, I love me some military academy football, and I didn't pick one this week, You
just honored them a little bit. That's your honor. Give
but
it to the VIP.
I did. But I did throw out the ultimate trivia question, which I'll throw a clue in there for you while we work to the end of the show. He was also the commander of the Rough Riders in the Battle of San Juan Hill in the Spanish-American War. So we go to BYU, Provo. Here's all you have to know. This is it. BYU at home since 2003. 98 wins, 34 losses. That's about 75%. Then you factor this in. Since 2019, when you play a night game in Provo, BYU is going to come out. They're going to hit you. They're going to be big. They're going to be physical, especially after last week's dick stomping from Texas Tech. Like, they're going to bounce back here. They are 32-4 straight up when the kickoff happens at 6 p.m. or later. Only 4 losses in the last 6 years at home. So I like BYU to win here. And there's a little bit of a revenge angle since TCU, I mean, these two teams don't play a lot. They will more now that they're both in the Big 12. But they last played in 2023. TCU was favored by 5 and just just crushed BYU 44-11. And TCU's actually won the last 5 games in this series, and that goes back probably 15 to 20 years. So I like BCU to get a little bit of revenge. We could go into, you guys all know it. We talked about it last week. They run the ball. Bear Bachmeier's a stud, can run it, throw it. They were garbage last week, but that was because they played one of the best teams in college football, probably the most overlooked team. Why are they? What are they? 12th? I mean, God, jeez. But anyway, right? I think they bounce back. They run the football. They play great defense, and they win at home. So I don't care. It's minus 180 or 185. I don't care. They win at home. BYU money line, cash money. If you want to pair it with something else for a parlay, go ahead.
I can't talk you off that one. BYU and Provo, you're either playing it or you're passing. Or you're not taking the other side. You're not going to go against BYU. Even though I did take Utah, but Utah, that kind of felt like a home game for them. I figured that stadium would have been split. But let's get into my last game, and of course, tried and true. I'm going to JMU, James Madison, at Appalachia State here in Bridgeport Stadium. Harrisburg, Virginia. 3:30 is going to be the kick on this one, and I'm going to put the rock JMU hat once again. It is a beautiful hat. And listen, App State's kind of cold right now. Lost 3 straight. They're 4-5 on the year. They're going against a humming along JMU team, kind of striving to not the Gun Belt Championship, but I don't know. There may be, some people whispering about them maybe getting that G5 spot. I don't know. I'm not charged the committee, but JMU has been dominating at home this season. Plus 27 point differential, plus 281 net yard average, plus 1 turnover ratio. They're 4-0 straight up, 3-1 ATS at home this season. And what you need to know about App State, what do they want to do? They want to pass the ball. They're 8th in pass play percentage. They're 5th in pass attempts per game. They're 16th in pass yards per game. But they're going against a JMU defense that can defend the pass well. They're 6th in opposing pass completion percentage, 15th in opposing pass yards per game, and they're 7th in QB sacks. So they're going to put some pressure on this App State team and really have this team struggling on the offensive side of the ball. App State is 1-3 straight up this year on the road with some notable road losses. Lost to Southern Miss by 16. Lost to Boise by 33. I was like, so against some teams that are up to this higher level in the G5s, they lose by double digits in most of these cases. It's also 2x revenge type of situation here for JMU. JMU lost to App State 34-20 as 7.5-point road favorites last year. Now they are 21-point favorites this year, less than a year later. Also, lower total than last year. So that is kind of the correlation here. The total, it was a smaller spread, bigger total, but now you have a bigger spread, smaller total, which gives you the indication it's going to be a little bit more lopsided to the JMU side. I think this JMU team is going to absolutely win by margin here against a team that has kind of owned them the past couple years. But I think James Madison is a much better team this year that they have seen. Bob Chesney, step up, win by more than 21. JMU minus 21 is the way I'm playing that one. Woo! We did it, folks. We gave you 8 games, gave you a bunch of plays. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. Make sure you check out some of the stuff I do before I do my little spiel and my speech, my promos. There is a question that needs to be answered.
Yes.
I'll pass it to you, Coach. What is the answer to your trivia question?
So we've been waiting the whole show. Hopefully you watched it. Hopefully you get something out of it, something you can use for the weekend. In 1920, back when the Republican convention, it wasn't a gimme, right? It wasn't an automatic, hey, this guy's the nominee. The first 4 votes for president, this guy actually won. Ultimately, the nomination went to Warren Harding, who did become the president. But Leonard Wood is just an incredible American who, like I said, won a Congressional Medal of Honor. He's in the College Football Hall of Fame. He was actually the first kind of star football player on one of the very first football teams at Georgia Tech. And he just an outstanding man. Fort Leonard Wood is an Army installation that's in Missouri. And then there was a ship that was named for him, USS Leonard Wood, but it was decommissioned back in the 1940s. But great human, great man. Leonard Wood is the answer to the trivia question.
Perfect stuff. When you said Rough Riders, I was thinking about, when I was in high school, and I was thinking, was it DMX? Was it one of them?
Yeah.
Rough Riders.
Rough Riders.
You go. Somebody get it. But that's gonna do it here. Before we close it out, check it out on Instagram. Why lose Gunz? Why lose Coach? Coach has got deals up the wazoo. I got deals up the wazoo. I just opened up the college basketball package. So you go check that out right now. I got week deals. I got month deals. Sunday, you can get my season package for $2.99, and I believe you can get my month of college basketball picks. We've been cooking on college basketball daily, and that is for $100. You might as well try it right now and stick around for the month. The price goes up on Sunday. What do you got going on, Coach?
Best value right now is just the all sports package. It's all my picks in all sports: college football, college basketball, in the NFL. College basketball, 10-2 so far. I mean, these early season games are, but myself and Gunz as well. Both of us, we dial in early. And then we continue it through the season. If you recall, by the time the tournament hits, last two NCAA tournaments, I've been at or close to 70%. So, I'll throw a basketball promo out there at some point. But right now, like I said, best bet is for $149, all bets, all sports from now until December 31st.
Yeah, I'm playing half units, 1 units in college basketball right now. I'm more in conference guy, and then of course when tournaments happen, I can get a little bit more situational.
Yep.
But that's kind of how I play it. So just keep your bankroll nice and low for the college basketball plays that I'm putting out there if you're one of the VIPs. And I have an all sports package coming out. I have that set up. I'm gonna issue that prop. I'm trying to figure out the right time to do it. Maybe it's gonna be before Thanksgiving, so go check that out. I will have a package. Just gonna figure out the price point and how to promote it. That's gonna do it here for Player Performance College Football Week 12 edition. We're running them out, so make sure you watch every single one. Make sure you share it. Make sure you like the videos. Make sure you get to the comment section. All that stuff. But that's gonna do it. I am Gunz Picks. That is Coach Rick. Let's cash some tickets. Let's dominate the board. And as always, Coach,
giddy up.
And let's keep dancing.
Cut my life into pieces. This is my last resort.